Welcome to the DigiKnow Podcast, episode 6, where today we want to make sure that you know the importance of telling your story. Here with me in the studio today is Jason Patton of Fire Dept Chronicles fame and almost fortune. Jason, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, definitely not fortune, just in mild fame. That's
well, you're
where
getting
we're at.
there.
Yeah,
you're getting there.
One day.
For those of you who do not know who Jason Patton is, he is the creator, inventor, founder, designer, developer, and crazy man affiliated with the Fire Dept Chronicles. I made a couple of notes here. I'm going to brag about you for a second.
Okay.
Over 150,000 Instagram followers, over 18,000 YouTube subscribers, okay? That's like infinitely more fans and followers and subscribers than we have. So whatever portion you don't have, I have that much less. So Jason, I appreciate you coming into the studio today. So Chumney & Associates, we are an automotive advertising agency, but I don't want us to keep talking about cars and car dealers. I want us to talk about advertising and marketing and everything under the sun that comes with that.
Yep.
So I'd love for this episode for us to break away from the car talk, and let's instead just talk about creating a name for yourself, telling your story, using social media to create your own brand.
Absolutely.
And have you kind of educate us on how you've done that. So tell us about Fire Dept Chronicles.
I started all this when I was, I'm a firefighter for a local fire department, and we started making some funny videos, and we found that they were taking off pretty quickly because I think for a lot of people, when they try to create videos or create their own type of content, it's always about just trying to make people laugh in general instead of trying to really focus on the things that make them laugh as a person or something that they're able to relate to. That was something we found real fast. The little nuances that a lot of people don't know about firefighting or anything with first responders in general, they try to get into that group, and like I would never try to do anything in military at any point in time because I would be shunned immediately if I tried to do that. But when it came to marketing or creating any kind of content and stuff, I try to focus on the stuff that I personally found hysterical, and it spread a lot faster than I ever thought it ever would.
So, case in point, on the YouTube channel for Fire Dept Chronicles, I think it's the first video that shows up. I might butcher the title, but it's basically what women think is going to happen when you call 911, and it has like a gajillion views. Yeah. So there's an example. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so a lot of people, when you picture firefighters or firemen in general, it's this lean, sexy dude that shows up and he
like
strips.
Me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Takes his shirt off. He's just sweat and oil and six packs, and everyone's like, "Oh my God."
We're talking about firefighters, not me, right?
We were just in the bathroom together, and I'm going to say it was definitely you. But that's the first thing people picture when they think of firefighters, and it is in fact not true in any way, shape, or form. Most of us don't have six packs. Most of us have a lovely dad gut, and what we call it a power belly is what it is. But we wanted to kind of point that out, and like you said, it got a ton of views because it's 100% true. But like people call 911, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be great," and then we show up and they're like, "Oh, okay, I'll take the next group, please." So
at the genesis of all this, when pun intended for our friend Genesis who introduced us.
Hey, Genesis.
At the genesis of all this, when this idea first popped into your head, okay, you're starting from scratch. You're starting from zero. Okay, I understand, the idea and why the idea is fun.
Yep.
But when you're starting from zero, you got to get your idea out there. You got to build an audience, and it needs to be compelling enough where that audience grows. Which is why we go back to tell your story. So let me divert for a second. On the automotive side, okay. Have you ever bought a car?
I was actually a mechanic for a long time.
Okay, so this will relate to you.
Yeah.
If anybody's ever bought a car and you go car shopping, you go into one dealership, you meet a salesperson, and they give you the quote-unquote demo of the vehicle, and you can always tell if that salesperson knows their product or not. So maybe, I don't know if you've experienced this.
No.
Scenario A, you meet a salesperson, they give you the product demo. They didn't really know much about the car. They're like, "Yeah, hey, it's red. It's got doors. You put gas in it." That's not. He's not telling a story about the car that's going to compel you to want to buy it, let alone from him or her. Scenario B, you go to another dealership, and you could tell when that salesperson really knows their product. They know the options, the features, the accessories, what's sexy about it, what's exciting about it, why it's safe, why it's great for you, why it's great on gas, why it's great for whatever, and it's the same car you just saw at the other dealership.
Yep.
But that salesperson, because they knew their product so well, they were able to tell the story in a convincing and passionate and with conviction.
Yep.
And all of a sudden it gets you excited about why you want this car and you want to buy this car, right? So take that thought. I'm a big believer that no matter what you're doing, whether you're selling something or you're selling yourself, whether you're creating something or you're creating your own brand, when you tell your story, nobody knows your story better than you.
Exactly.
Nobody knows your story with more intimacy and more detail and more passion and more conviction than you. So I could tell our audience about you. I could read a piece of paper. I could read your description about the story of Jason Patton. I could read it to the audience, but it's not going to come across with the same passion and conviction as if you tell your own story.
Exactly.
So what I'm building up to here is when you started Fire Department Chronicles from zero, you had to, I believe, tell a story, tell your story with passion and conviction in order to get attention and have people want to keep coming back for more of that story to grow that audience. Is that about right?
No, 100%. People want to see just genuine attitude. They want to see like that you're genuinely true to what your humor is. A lot of people try to step outside of their lane and try to go into other ventures, or they fake a personality. You know immediately when you see someone who's faking a personality, or they're fake acting or whatever that is. I always tell people, two big things. One, stay within your lane. And two, you are not going to gain popularity immediately. Like, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be able to just throw content out there like crazy. I listened to a podcast with Dane Cook, and it was amazing. This dude was like, who cares? Just throw out as much content as possible. Something's going to grab eventually, but throw it out there as much as possible. Have as much fun as possible. And eventually you're going to gain fame if you're actually going to make it there. And the other thing is that realize your audience. So my audience will not be as big as this guy named Ginger Billy. He's huge. He's hysterical. He does all redneck stuff. It's really, really funny. This guy has like 2 million followers on Facebook, but his audience is much larger than the average. So even if you are only reaching, half of that, but you are super saturated in that market, then who cares how many followers you actually have?
Let's pause to recognize our sponsor, Chumney & Associates. If you sell cars, we'll make your ads. Chumney & Associates, we make car ads. Back to the DigiKnow Podcast, episode 6, where we're talking about the importance of telling your story. Here in the studio, Jason Patton from Fire Department Chronicles.
Thanks for having me.
Real quick, be sure to subscribe Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, YouTube. Follow us at Chumney_ads, at Paul M. Harvey 14. Holler out your handles, Fire Department.
Fire Department Chronicles. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, everything. Snapchat's for the naughty ones.
How long is TikTok still going to be around?
Dude, TikTok will probably be the next Facebook, Instagram.
I wish Joe Rogan was here so we could talk about like Chinese spying via TikTok and all that kind of stuff.
It's definitely. I've been absolutely impressed with what TikTok has done, because it's the next Vine, so on and so forth. Their growth lately is disgusting. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you.
Speaking of shameless plugs, I see some coffee sitting here. Fire Department Coffee. Tell me about that.
So Fire Department Coffee is founded and run by firefighters. All of us are active firefighters. We give 10% of all of our proceeds back to the Fire Department Coffee Charitable Foundation, which supports sick and injured firefighters.
So you hear that? All 3 of you listening and watching this episode, buy some Fire Department coffee and help our first responders out. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, back to the importance of telling your story. I used the example a few minutes ago of going to buy a car. You meet one salesperson, they don't really know their product, and when they tell you the story of the car, you're just not convinced to buy it. You meet another salesperson, they really know their product, and they give you all the bells and gadgets and whistles, all of a sudden you get excited about buying that car.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, look, that applies to everything. You go into a restaurant, right? It could be the nicest restaurant in the world. If you've got a server that really knows the menu and can make some legitimate suggestions about what to get and why you want to get it, based upon, what your taste buds are desiring, it makes you excited to eat there. It makes the meal just taste better. It makes the experience better. And look, it's the same food from the same restaurant. It's just the experience you get from a server or a bartender or a car salesperson or a mattress salesperson or a whatever is so much different when that person is telling the story, whatever that story is, with passion and conviction, because they know their product inside and out, especially if it's their own product.
And it makes you trust them. So if I walk into a restaurant, I sit down and I'm like, hey, how's your macaroni and cheese? They're like, I would never eat the macaroni and cheese. It's disgusting. Like, okay, cool. Then what would you suggest? Well, I would suggest this, and this. I'm going to be much more trusting of that person if they are true. The same with the car salesman. If I go in and I'm like, I need every bell and whistle, and they're like, well, do you need a sunroof? I'm like, actually, no, I don't need a sunroof. All right, well, then get this one. It's a little bit cheaper. Like that, you can always be, if you're truthful with people, you're straight up with them, you tell them what's going on, then they're going to gain trust in you so much faster.
So you had mentioned earlier that the whole purpose behind Fire Department Chronicles was to shed some light on what it really is like to be a firefighter, what your experience really is going to be dealing with a firefighter, what's really going on at the fire station.
Yes.
So kind of divulge us a little bit more on that. Tell that story. There's got to be a reason why you wanted to do this in the first place and where you want to take it to. So tell that story.
So originally we started just to kind of, gain that or have a good time with each other at the station. And then someone said you should put it on Facebook. So we put it on Facebook. And then we started seeing a huge following of people coming like, yo, this is it, man. Like, this is really funny. All of this is true. That's the number one comment. This is so true. It's funny. So it started growing more and more. We started, expanding outside of, that's a big thing. A lot of people go out there and, marketing or whatever you do, and it's always the same marketing every single time. There's a dealership around here that does the same advertisement every single time. And eventually you hear that and you shut it off. But if you change the tone of your voice, you change the way that you do it, then you're going to gain more people outside of that normal circle. We started doing it, and we started firing a big followership and people that enjoyed it and were able to relate to it. And then we found a mental health side of it, which was huge. A lot of these guys started writing me, guys and girls, and they're saying, hey, I watch your video. It makes me laugh. And then it helps relieve some of the stress from the job. Because, we see bad stuff. I've seen dead kids and stuff like that. It sucks. So it's a lot of times just getting people to laugh, relieve stress. And a lot of times it breaks tension within the crew. And then they're able to talk about the bad things that they've seen. So it started off, and it still is, a big way for people to relieve stress, but it became a lot deeper once we started reaching people on different levels.
So in a family-friendly way, let's go to the funny side of things. Yeah. Maybe it's one of the videos you've produced, or maybe it's something you caught on camera, or maybe it's just something you experienced. What is the family-friendly, what is the number one funniest Fire Department Chronicle story that you could tell our audience?
Actually, just so you know, 100% of our videos is family-friendly. Everything's PG-13, no curse words, nothing.
Give us what's the best story?
Best one that I actually enjoyed was the essential oils. What if we replaced all of our medications with essential oils? Because I believe in essential oils. I like that. I think they actually work for minor things, but I had a lady who asked or wrote online. She said, hey, my husband's having a heart attack. What's the best essential oil to fix this? So we made a whole thing about what if people had broken legs and they were spraying like spearmint oil on it and stuff like that. So that was by far one of my favorite ones.
Essential oil on a compound fracture.
Yeah, essential oil compound fracture. We had a guy having a stroke, and they were giving him peppermint gum to try to fix it. So it was funny. And the best part was all the people in the essential oil community were commenting, this is absolutely hysterical.
So whether you're trying to sell a car, trying to sell something off your menu, trying to upsell something in your business or your place of service, or even just trying to sell some fire department coffee and have the proceeds go towards a good cause, the point here is the importance of knowing your story and telling your story with passion and conviction and realism and intimacy in order to capture your audience and captivate your audience, excite your audience, keep your audience, and grow your audience.
Yep.
That is the formula for success behind the 150,000 plus Instagram followers for Fire Department Chronicles. And I think that's an important lesson for everybody, whether you're in advertising, whether you're in sales, whether you own your own business, or whether you're just doing things for fun.
Exactly. Believe in your product.
The recipe for success in whatever it is you're doing is to tell your story with passion and conviction.
Yep.
Would agree?
Love it.
So did you know the importance of telling your story? You probably did, but in case you didn't, now you do. This was DigiKnow Podcast, episode 6 with Jason Patton from Fire Department Chronicles. Again, subscribe on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, YouTube, at Chumney_ads, at Paul M. Harvey 14.
Fire Department Chronicles, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok.
All right, we appreciate you watching and or listening. We'll check you out next time.